Metal is a rock subgenre that gained so much popularity it basically detached from it. With loud distorted guitars, fast drum fills, often accompanying scary or creepy images, metal became the perfect subgenre for anyone who wanted to rebel against conformism and taste something truly different. Like many other genres, it recently evolved towards more electronic sounds, often resulting in interesting subgenres mixing rock and hardcore electronic approaches. Loved by Americans and also praised in Europe, this genre keeps evolving through time, adding elements of more popular styles to its repertoire, but strongly keeping its identity. Acoustic guitars, banjos, beautiful voices are still a huge part of the game, although many country artists now add flavors taken from the rock and pop worlds too. Once available only in Korea, K-pop is now extremely popular in the United States and in some European countries too. K-pop is a term used to label a pop subgenre sung in the Korean language, and portrayed as fun, glamorous, vivid, teen-oriented, and very colorful. K-pop stars are among the most followed and venerated on social media. There's no doubt classical music is still a huge part of our culture. While orchestras may not sound so mainstream, people all over the world and of any age still listen to symphonies, operas, and concertos, while the older compositions seem to be also the most popular ones. Many young composers tirelessly work to contribute to the creation of the classical musical forms we all enjoy and admire. The label indie has evolved a lot throughout the last 3 decades. Once indicating the DIY bands deriving directly from the punk wave, it now applies to glamorous singers and songwriters or bands who are very far from the DIY approach of their predecessors. Nevertheless, alternative rock is still a reality, especially in the underground scene. While it has never been a chart-filling genre, alternative rock and indie bands rose to fame throughout the 90s, becoming another great option for anyone who didn't relate to the glamour of mainstream music. Many popular rock subgenres such as grunge belong to this wide category. While Latin music was considered a niche genre up until the 70s, it gained more and more popularity throughout the last 40 years. Especially because of Latin summary hits filling the charts all over the world. The realm of Latin music is wide as it spans from the modern reggaeton to more traditional samba or other classic dance styles. Overall, this genre became so popular that many elements of it, especially from a rhythmical point of view, are now a recurrent part of many mainstream productions we could consider pop. The rise of computers and digital technology allowed producers to explore new ways to make music. We no longer need a musical instrument to write or produce a song, we just need a computer. This is how electronic music rose to fame throughout the 80s and 90s, with some precedents in the 70s when orchestras, however, were still very popular in dance halls. We could probably write a whole encyclopedia about rock music and its numerous subgenres. For the sake of this article, let's just stick to the basics. Rock evolved directly from the blues, and it became popular in the 50s, first in the United States and then in Great Britain. From London, it slowly but steadily spread all over Europe, where it became the perfect soundtrack to the ideological turmoil of the 60s. From the rough and bluesy rock and roll, the genre evolved into more complex styles, such as progressive rock. On the other side of the spectrum, it regained its simple and raspy approach towards the end of the 70s, with the punk movement. In recent years, rock music is not as popular as it used to be, with other genres innovating and taking over the electronic and the digital tools available. Rock and roll has lost its rebellious input, losing spot after spot in the charts. These two genres originating in the 80s, but with some ancient roots planted in the blues and the gospel too, presented an incredible evolution that made them a sort of standard for the mainstream. The encounter between spoken words and the electronic sounds made music doable without the traditional tools, like a good singing voice or the ability to play an instrument. Though sharp rhymes and rough sounds, the first rappers narrated the harshness of life in the ghetto, while right now their descendants are experiencing some great success. Many hip-hop subgenres such as rap and trap are now filling the charts and influencing many other popular genres. The trends evolve at a very rapid pace thanks to social media and the internet. As the label itself indicates, pop music is surely the most popular genre in the music market. It is a bit tricky, however, to clearly define what pop music is, as it evolves so much through time. We could say that any genre gaining massive popularity becomes pop music. As an example, the Beatles were pop, although from a genre point of view, they produced mainly soft rock tracks. Of course, their production is huge, and they experimented with many genres, but you see my point. Throughout the 80s, pop music evolved towards more electronic sounds, with artists and songs bridging the gap between the classic rock form, deriving from the blues, and modern approaches to music that led us directly to the digital era. Nowadays, pop music takes much of its sounds and musical language from the world of hip-hop, with its subgenres of trap and rap being extremely popular. Electronic and dance elements are still very present in the mainstream, with other influences such as Latin sound often joining in to create a diverse and eclectic approach.